All right. We're live. Unfortunately, my guest is not here. I was supposed to have Brian Christgau on. Um, he's promoting Six Gun Gorilla. Let me see, what is this? The Big Gun or something. I don't know. But I don't know what happened. Brian asked me a couple days ago, could he come on? And I sent him the link. And he, for whatever reason, is not here. However, I figured I would do the stream at least for a few minutes and maybe show his project, and then hopefully he'll get here because I don't have a lot of time. I was just going, just set this time aside. I'm trying to do some work, trying to pack books and do all this kind of thing. So if he doesn't show up within the next few minutes, then I guess I'll just get the hell out of here because I know Ethan's streaming. So, but let me go ahead and do some shilling for Six Gun Gorilla. I will do a share screen on that. But I've had this happen a few times. You guys promoting books, if you add and you don't show up, that's a bad one. But here it is. Obviously, I was actually the first person to have Brian on, but this is here it is. Brian Christgau, Six Gun Gorilla, the Big Gun Down. Let me make sure this is where we're at right now. $2,247. Obviously I like Big Gun Gorilla last time. This is, if I'm not mistaken, Kanan's cover. Yeah, this is Kanan's cover from way back when. I know he did this a few years ago. And I think this is what the cover is going to be. And we liked Six Gun Gorilla. We championed that project. I know Ethan Van Sciver liked it as well. But again, we just don't have Mr. Christgau here to tell us about his lovely project. But the link is in the description for Six Gun Gorilla, the Big Gun Down. It is in the description there. And let me look at the tiers and see, because somebody might be interested in it. He's got a featured perk, graphic novel, and Big Gun Down. And so you get Six Gun Gorilla issue 7 and the Six Gun Gorilla graphic novel. Okay, so I guess you can pick that whole thing up. In case you don't know the story, you'll be brought up to speed. No, wait a minute, we don't want to do that. I don't want to get my credit card information out of here. No. Okay, hold up now. Am I doing boomer stuff? Okay, I don't want to. Yeah, okay, there we go. I was like, please don't show my information. And but let me see here. Big Gun Down, $15 plus shipping. Six Gun Gorilla graphic novel. Okay, so he just did a campaign for that, and I noticed people are claiming that $35. Oh wow. Okay, kept it. He listened to your boy Zach. He kept it real simple. That's good. Also, obviously, my campaign for Brand Way of the Gun. This is it. That link is in the description as well. Let me get off of here because, boom. Let me go back and see what you guys are talking about. Ah, there he is. Okay, because I was about to. Okay.
Antonio, my apologies, sir, for my tardiness.
I'm going to be honest with you. You got on my naughty list. I'm not going to lie to you because I
know. I'm sorry. The crazy thing is I used to be super punctual, like anal retentive levels of punctuality. But when it's come to live streaming, for some reason, I'm the late guy.
Okay, well,
and I have an excuse, but I'm not going to give it because people don't want excuses.
Well, my only thing, I'm going to say this because I've had this happen a few times, because it's when you ask to come on and I drop everything I'm doing to bring you on. That's why I'm like,
I know.
I like you and I like your project, but
I apologize.
And that's not just for you. That's for any, because there's always people DMing me and asking me, can they come on and stuff. So I'm like, if I got to drop everything I'm doing, because I could be in there packing right now. So,
right. Exactly. Yeah. It's like, not only am I wasting my time, that's okay if I want to waste my time, but if I'm wasting your time, that's not cool. And especially considering how kind and generous you've been to me. That's
well, like I said, I just, obviously I like you,
brother.
So that's why I was like, let me at least stream for a few minutes. I figured you might be asleep or something. Let me just stream for a few minutes and show it, and then I can get out of here and go back to work.
There was actually, I will give you an excuse. I take care of my my mom. She's got Alzheimer's. Of course, we're living with the pandemic and everything like that. Can't leave the house. And like I run a depression bipolar.
We discussed that when you were here previously. Yes.
All of our meetings, of course, canceled. So anyway, I get a text from somebody from my group, and she's like, "Oh, like I know that you're like running low on food. Like, is it cool if my husband stops by and drops off some food?" And
yes, please.
And yeah, and I mean, I started crying, man. It's like you do a good deed for you. You do good deeds without any expectation of a reward, folks. You will be rewarded. It'll come back to you, I promise. Because this was a prime example. She didn't need to go and do that. Her husband didn't need to go and do that, but they went and did it because people in my group, we watch out for each other.
Oh, well, there's nothing wrong with that. But since you're here, let's I kind of just ran through it, but let's just pretend I didn't do that. Let's wipe everything away like it was in the Matrix, and we will actually talk about.
Oh, hold on a sec.
Okay.
Here's Mom.
Okay.
I'm dude. I apologize, but Mama comes first.
Oh yeah, I get that. I was like, yeah. Well, alrighty then. Doesn't look like there's a few of you here not watching Ethan's stream. Hello. Yeah. So while we're waiting on that, but let me go ahead and start pulling it up, and then when Brian gets here or gets back, we can actually let him tell us about the glorious 6-gun gorilla, the big GUNDOWN. So let me see. But hope you all are enjoying your day. I am Yule. How are you, sir? I'm here. I don't know what AEW is going to do tonight. I'm curious about it though. But okay, Mr. Christgau is back. So let me.
Sorry about that, man.
All right. Well, hey, you got to do what you got to do. All right. So let me pull it up. This is 6-gun gorilla. The link is in the description. All right. So it looks like you have a trailer here. I guess I should play that bad boy.
Oh, it's the new and improved trailer, I might add. It's the EVS edition.
All right. Well, let's see it. Let's see what we're working with here.
Rock and roll, man. Rock and roll.
Brian Christgau. Your book, 6-Gun Gorilla, is excellent. 6-Gun Gorilla, awesome. Awesome comic book.
We've all heard the stories. We've all heard the legends. Wyatt Earp, Doc Holliday,
Billy the Kid.
But there's a secret history to the Old West. One that seems too strange to be true, but, well, we all know what they say about the truth. Very big ape, very big guns, throwing very big holes, very bad people. I think the world is finally ready to hear the story of the strangest, the most startling Western hero of them all. Six-Gun Gorilla, Long Days of Vengeance.
Aha.
What you think?
I thought it served you well. It was a good trailer. Who did it? Did you do it by yourself or no?
Oh yeah, completely by myself. No, that's a lie. I storyboarded it. Well, you know what I did was I contacted my artist Adrian and was like, "Do you know anybody that does motion comics or that could do like a motion comic trailer?" And so he referred me to a friend of his, whose name escapes me at the moment. I got it written down though because I know people have been asking for it, and I'm happy to give him more business. And all I had to do was of course, I had to pay him half up front, which I was happy to do. And then I storyboarded the whole thing, which was easy because all I had to do was just cut and paste from the comic book, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I can't draw a straight line with a ruler. So even my stick figures look nasty. They're a mess.
That's not good.
No, it's not. It's not. And but of course, all I had to do is take the panels and draw like arrows, like, oh, like, do you think you could make this move? Do you think you could make that move? And so on and so forth. And man, just knocked it out of the park. Just did a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful job. Like, couldn't be happier with that.
Okay, so well, I guess, in case anyone didn't read Six Gun Gorilla, I see you had the trade paperback for sale.
With
kind of catches up to speed there and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely. Six Gun Gorilla is the tale of a gorilla named Kumba. The story opens in the mid 1800s, where a great white hunter type, like an Alan Quatermain kind of a guy. One of these cats that was like, going through Africa, like, oh man, I'm going to bag myself, an elephant. I'm going to bag myself a rhino. I'm going to bag myself some gorillas. So he wipes out an entire troop of gorillas while his native guides are chopping up the bodies with pangas, machetes for bushmeat. And for trophies, they turn over one of the bodies and they find a baby male gorilla still clinging to its mother's breast alive. So the baby's put aboard a ship where he's won in a poker game by a carnival barker type named Professor Malloy, who wins him in the card game because his 6-year-old daughter, Abigail, sees this little baby gorilla in a cage and she tugs on his jacket and she's like, Daddy, can I have him? I won't lie. I give props where they're due. I kind of stole this from Mighty Joe Young. Well, no, not kind of. I stole it from Mighty Joe Young. I'll fess up. Okay. And which was an inspiration for this, without a doubt. And so he's taken to America. And he grows up in the circus, and he's not like a pet. He is like one of the family because he's unusually intelligent for a gorilla. He can read. He can, could write if he could find a pencil big enough for him. And so, being in the circus family, he has to learn a trade, right? And well, he's not going to work out very well on the high wire act. He's not going to work very well on a tightrope. If he tries to like ride horses around, he's just going to crush him under his weight. So they teach him to be a quick shot artist. And so instead of just, shooting plates out of the air, they have to make extra large guns for his extra large hands. And so he's like, they're like launching beer kegs through the air. He's blasting those into splinters. And he becomes the star attraction of the show. He and his sister Abigail, they want to go to New York. They want to travel north, but their father, Professor Malloy, is like, no, we're staying in Texas because the Civil War is going on at that time. And he's like, we want to stay as far away from that drama as possible. Unfortunately,
I would agree.
Right? Agree. Yeah. And so they stay in Texas. And, unlike, despite what you might see in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, the Civil War was never fought in Texas. So they're hanging out in Texas to avoid the Civil War. Unfortunately, the Civil War comes to them. And tragedy ensues, and he is put very, very quickly on the vengeance trail and set on an adventure that takes him to some very unexpected places. I can't be more grateful for them, for the response that this has gotten. People really, really love this book, and they connect with it in a way that that surprised me. Because Antonio, you sit down, you put your passion into your project, but you don't know if other people are going to feel as passionate about it as you are. You don't know.
This is true. I would definitely agree with that, but
right. You don't know if they're going to connect with it because you're like me. You made the comic that you wanted to read, but you don't know if other people are going to want to read it. And so the reaction that I've gotten has been overwhelmingly positive. I got one bad review, and that was from a guy whose review basically consisted of, "I don't like Westerns." Okay. All right. Okay. Whatever. But at the same time, while some people might not like Westerns and think like, well, I don't really want to read a Western comic. It's a Western comic with a freaking gorilla. I like to think it sells itself. Right now, I am launching the what would be the 7th issue, the Big Gundown, and you can order that by itself for $15. This is the part in the story where things really pop off. This is where things get.
Let me ask you, because you had the trade paperback. Now, that's something I guess I was confused about. I thought the trade paperback had the first 5 issues of the book. So it had the first 6 issues?
Had the first 6 issues.
Ah, okay.
Did I just send you the first 5 issues?
I think you did. That's why I was like, yeah, you just sent me 5.
Perfect. Okay, yeah. I'll mail you a copy of the trade paperback, and then I'll feel less guilty about leaving
you sent me
hanging there.
Just I was like,
I got a chance. Okay, that's awesome. I got a chance to make amends. That's cool.
Oh, yeah, no, but like I said, I was like, we're on issue 7. I thought it was the first 5. And then, okay, so
sorry,
I was like,
brother.
where's issue 6? Okay,
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
Issue 6 is in the graphic novel, which is your featured perk here.
Yes.
And you got a good price on it. It's only $15, and you get not only the graphic novel with the first 6 issues, you additionally get the issue 7, which is the continuation of the story. Now, the graphic novel has Kanan's cover on it.
Yeah, it does.
Looks like it does, and which is right here. And
tell me that doesn't look gorgeous.
Well, I'm obviously a big fan of Mr. White's horrible line work. Since we own a comic together, but I just hey,
well,
he's amateurish. He's not very good. I
here's the thing. I know you mentioned that you showed this to him, and he was really happy with the colors.
Yes,
that made my day, because artists are understandably very protective of their work because it's got their name on it, right? And we've seen how, and they've seen how you could take a beautiful piece of black and white art and basically just, vomit color all over it and just ruin the damn thing. And this is Derek Dow, who did the colors on this, who normally does Western paintings. He's actually done the colors for like all of the for every issue except issue number 7, which is all Adrian. But I think he did a really beautiful job on this, and to hear that Kanan was happy with this, that's what it's all about. You want your artist to be happy.
Well, it's one thing I've learned from working with Kanan is once he finishes the piece, he just kind of detaches himself from it and lets it go in the wind, into the art winds or whatever. So it's like he doesn't follow up and go, hey, how did this get colored? How did that get, even with Brand, it was just like he got it. I'd show him the color. Oh, that looks great. And he move on to the next day. It's just, he doesn't get very attached to it. So a lot of times when he's done a lot of cover work for like Zenoscope and and various independent comics, and sometimes he doesn't see the end result for years later. Perfect example of that is a few months ago, someone in Australia had tweeted to him. He had done a Phantom cover for the Phantom Annual. I can't remember, but it had a female Phantom on it, and it just he hadn't seen it, and I think he'd done that in like 2017 or so, 2016, 2017, and so at least 2 years have passed at that point. Near it was around Christmas time, I think. And someone was like, "Hey, Kanan, I happened to find this at the comic shop here in Australia," and tweeted it out to him. And he had never seen it. So he was like, "Oh, wow." So he hadn't seen it. It's nice to kind of get a fresh reaction from him when he hadn't seen something. So I was like, "Hey, I said, you did some work for Brian Christgau?" And he was like, "I don't know who that is." And I was like, Six Gun Gorilla. I don't know, man. I've done so many projects. I've done pinups and covers and stuff for so many people. I don't know. And I showed him, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I remember doing that." Because when I showed him the art, he knew what I was talking about. But I was like, "Yeah, he's done so much work. It's just, and the work continues, obviously." But
he's on fire, man. He is on fire.
It was an interesting experience having him here last week. It was nice after 3.5 years to finally actually get to meet him, and actually have him in my home, and
that's a really cool experience. Like I met Adrian at the New York Comic Con a couple of years ago, and it's just like he stuck out his hand for a handshake. I was like, screw the handshake, come on in and give me a hug, right? Because he just done such beautiful work with my story. Felt so you can't help but be grateful, even though it's a job, even though you're paying these guys. When they really knock it out of the park, and clearly Kanan knocked this out of the park. He's knocked Brand out of the park. I'm torn, because I've got my digital copy. I've read the preview, and I'm kind of like, okay, do I read the digital copy, or do I wait for that? Or do I wait for the actual comic? Because I know it's coming. It's
and that's what I'm saying. Like when I get back, when I end this stream, back on it, backpacking, because I'm gonna try to send out quite a bit of them tomorrow. Try to ship out a few copies, and head to the mailbox or whatever. So,
well, you were gonna find that to be a massive pain in the ass.
All the Gemini mailers and stuff.
Yeah. But here's the thing: when those start turning up in people's hands, and they start posting pictures on Twitter, you are going to be it will have all been worth it. Trust me.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to that, and hopefully within the next few days, some of those will start to show up, and I'll start getting added and all that kind of thing. That's this has been a journey. It's been an experience as far as I don't know. It was interesting to go from beginning to end, and see the whole thing completed. We recorded the director's commentary last week. Myself and Kanan and Kid Icarus, and it was interesting going over the entire process from the beginning to the end.
A director's commentary.
Yeah, we did a director's commentary.
Nobody's ever done that for a comic book before, I believe. Has anybody ever done that?
Well, I'd assume so. The reason I say that is the person that gave me the idea was Doug TeNapel.
Oh, okay.
Trying to figure, what was it, about 7-8 months ago, we were talking, and it was one of those kind of lulls in the campaign. Like you'll get a couple sales and then you won't, and then it was kind of going down. And I was kind of late, and I was like, he was like, "You want to do another cover?" And I was like, "No." I was like, "I don't want to add any more covers," because we already had the Santana Baby triple cover pack with 3 covers, and then we had the sketch cover, so it was 4 covers all together. That's why I kind of laugh when people were like, Antonio, you've got 6 covers for this new campaign. And I was like, yeah, and I had 4 covers for the other one and no one said shit. You know, I was like, so yeah, I added 2 extra covers that weren't in, available on the first campaign. So, so I just went from 4 to 6. I had 4 different covers for brand number 1. So yeah, I've got the triple cover pack and then the sketch covers, which we sold 54 of those. And Kanan was over here sketching his ass off doing those sketch covers. It was, like I said, I didn't want to add another cover because that seemed like a gimmick at that time. The campaign, we were nearing completion. I know when I talked to Doug then, book was at least 70% done. And, I was like, I don't want to just, it kind of feels like you're grifting at that point. So I didn't want to add another cover. So,
but people want it. That's the thing. People are into it. Well,
people are asking, like, Antonio, I've already backed. I don't want to, what else? It's like, add another tier or something and I'll get that or whatever. And I was like,
yeah.
And Doug was like, what about like a limited edition print or something like, I don't know. I kind of hate the print, and I've got 4 that are going in each book for this first one. I didn't want to do like, you could do like a high gloss print. You could do this. Doug, I noticed whenever I would talk to Doug about adding stuff, it was always stuff that costs thousands and thousands of dollars that I didn't have. It was always like, oh, you can do this. I'm doing this for Bigfoot Bill. I'm doing this for Earthworm Jim, blah, blah. And it's like all this stuff. And he like, what about a hat? Or what about let's see, what about a patch? Although his idea for a patch is something I am curious about. If Way of the Gun does pretty well, there's a possibility that I would like to add a patch if we get closer into the higher dollars and stuff. I thought that was interesting. He told me about a patch maker, and it costs a couple $1,000s, but if we can, raise the funds, then it's okay. Just write it off as a business expense.
And I know what you mean about like feeling like alternate covers. You feel like it feels like a grift and everything. But the CG audience, man, the indie comics audience, they want this stuff, and it's not like we're putting a gun to their heads. Well,
that's the thing, because I was on Ethan's channel the other day, and this is one of those things, like Malin came on and he was like, because Ethan was like, Malin should do a cover for you. And at that point I've picked my artist and I've got all the covers except for the exclusive one for the mega pack and Ethan's cover, which Ethan has the layout to. I guess I need to sit down with him. I don't, like I say, he's kind of busy promoting his mega epic right now. So,
like he even needs to promote that thing.
Yeah. So he's kind of big, but, that's, and I understand where Malin's coming from, where you're talking about, hey, I don't want to be, I wouldn't want to contribute to something that say, not a limited edition, or it's one of X amount of covers, because he did that. I guess he did that with Lone Star 2, and then Mike just kind of rolled them out how he rolled them out, and I guess didn't have the impact that if it had just been, oh, okay, you can get Lone Star, and here's the variant, period. So I get that, but I don't know, if I feel like if you're gonna do variants, just do them. There'll be a different cover on the second printing of Brand, because I do want to do. I'm kind of thinking maybe that's what I'm going to put up now, because I just want to put up a second printing of Brand, since we already have the interiors and all that crap. I kind of want to do that. That's and it'll have a different cover, and then maybe I can hire someone special to do a cover for the second printing of Brand, and just put it up there like that. So
that'd be great. And like with this, I figure, okay, everybody who didn't get the trade paperback, let me relaunch the trade paperback with a new cover, so that way the people who bought the previous trade paperback and the previous campaign, I got exactly 200 copies. I signed them, I numbered them. Those are the only That's the only edition of the trade paperback that you're going to get with that cover. So like those are gone. So they know that they have something special, a potential collectible. So for this one, I figured like, wait, I've got this awesome cover by Canon, and I haven't used it yet. So why don't I just put Canon's cover on the relaunch the trade paperback with the Canon variant, and people can get that, and they can if they've already got the previous one, they can buy the big Gundown by itself, or you can just buy the trade paperback issues 1 through 6 by itself, or you can buy them together, and I knock $5 off the price.
But yeah, like I said, it's when you run these campaigns, you always you run into these little different obstacles and everything. It's I don't know, it's always a challenge. But I am curious. That's something, because everybody's like, I can't get book 1, so I'm just like, I need to add book 1 on to this, and get I only have limited quantities of the first printing for brand, so and like I said, I don't know how many books are going to come back and different things. So at this point, one thing I've noticed, you ship them out, and then people have I'm still having people, I've sent out multiple updates going, hey, please update your address, please, and then they still they're still straggling in, and now all the campaigns are locked, they're all locked, and it is it's locked. So if you haven't updated your address after I've asked repeatedly, then the best way to do that would be to contact me so that I can add it in myself or something, if your address is not, because obviously I want you to get what you paid for.
Customer satisfaction is number one. Absolutely.
So yeah, that is so that's what we're trying to do. But yeah, these campaigns are they're monsters, and I definitely want to I just want to try to do that. So
it's an adventure, and it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. We bust our butts with these campaigns. We bust our butts making these books, and the people that we work with bust their butts making these books. And that's why it's important to let people know that this isn't just a job for us. It's not a work for hire thing for us. This is these are passion projects, and I think that's the reason why we're seeing so much great talent right now. Especially in CG, but also, just indie comics in general. Everybody's doing what they're passionate about, not what they think will sell.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's why I go back to the thing about the variant covers. I always love variant covers. That's that wasn't I think some people took it as it's like, oh, you're just grifting or whatever. And I was like, no, if you want, you don't have to buy all the covers. I was like, that's why I have individual covers for sale. You don't have to buy all of them. Just pick the one you like, and we appreciate the support. But then they were like, well, I want this cover and that cover, and I want this cover, and I want, I don't want all of and I'm like, okay. But I was, obviously, one of my fondest memories when I was younger, I think I was like 17 or so, when Gen 13 was out, and they launched issue number 1, and they had 13 different covers. And I think I own 4 of the 13, but now I see them on eBay. You can get the they sold a box that had all 13 covers, and you can get them on eBay for like $30 now. It's like, but at one point in time, I thought these were going to be some of the most valuable comics in existence, and this is when comics were selling 200,000 or 300,000 an issue or whatever.
Yeah, but they weren't. It's like in the 90s. They were some. I mean, my God! Like some issues were selling like 1 million copies, 2 million copies. But that didn't mean that But that didn't mean that there were 2 million readers. It was the speculators. And I've always told people, since I was a kid, comic books are a bad investment. Generally speaking, I mean, because especially then, because what makes a comic valuable? It's scarcity.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like New Mutants '98. New Mutants '98 sold 200,000 or 300,000 copies at least that I recall. But most people just was like, "Oh, okay, this Rob Liefeld, who's this Deadpool guy? Oh, okay, yeah."
Those did not end up in people's laps being read. Those ended up going right into Mylar snugs and stashed away.
Well, if they were more, if it wasn't a scarcity on those, you notice when you go on eBay and just even a very good copy is still $300, $400, $500. It's like if it's in near mint, if it's graded, you're talking 15, 17, 2,000, 2,500, depending on. I've noticed those prices if you have it graded. Now, if you have it signed, I've seen them $3,000 and $4,000 and all this. Especially some people, it's a curious thing, but people didn't know that because I remember Deadpool, nobody cared about Deadpool at
Nobody
first.
cared about Deadpool.
Yeah, I was like, now he's Deadpool. Everyone's like, oh my God, let me get his first appearance. And then it just that's what has to happen. I'm kind of seeing
Punisher.
Yeah. Well, I remember when the Punisher came out with those white boots and all that kind of thing. Or
I was obsessed as a kid. There were two characters that absolutely caught my imagination. And one of them was the Punisher. The other one was Blade in Tomb of Dracula, right?
Yeah.
Right? People forget or they don't know these were D-list characters. Like, I mean, fortunately for me, I got to buy all those comics when they were affordable, when they were pretty cheap, because nobody cared about the Punisher. He'd made a couple appearances in Spider-Man, Daredevil, of course, those great two issues.
I would say when I was a kid, like in 89 and 90, the first appearance of the Punisher was, at least at that time, it was $150, $200.
Wow.
And yeah, it was. I would go to my comic shop, Collector's World, and they'd have it. And it wouldn't be out there with the regular. It'd be behind, where it'd be behind. They had
laser beams and
yeah. What was it? Incredible Hulk number 181 or whatever. The first appearance of Wolverine. Yeah, so it was like they had those kind of comics behind the counter. And I remember there was an Iron Man Submariner annual, and they were selling that for $40. Now I'm looking on eBay and you can get them for like 20, something like that. They're not, I don't know but if Submariner gets hot again, that issue, I think it was the first time they had worked together or did whatever. And but that book came out in like 69, 70 or something. It was like I said, Iron Man Submariner special, and I wanted that book so bad. I was like, yeah, I want it. But yeah, like 89, 90, I'd see that first Punisher from Spider-Man. I'd see, I think it was like Spider-Man 51 or 50. The first appearance of the Kingpin was there.
Yeah. Wow.
Which the book where Bullseye kills Elektra. There were a couple books, 30, 40, Batman Dark Knight Returns, issue 1. They had done so many reprints, and this is a first printing, and he actually had like a card. He had it in the bag and board.
Yeah.
He had a card on there on the front, and it said first printing, because there had been like a 6 or 7 different printings of it, so you couldn't, it's like, hey, this isn't the first printing, but this is, it's like.
Yep, and you couldn't fake it either, because it says, like, inside, like this, what printing it is, so.
Yeah, and that's why, that would be something that I would change for the second. I actually have some ideas of what I might want to change, to do a second printing, because that's something I want to add to the thing, because I keep getting people, they was like, hey, I missed out on the first book, I didn't get it or whatever. And so kind of either Kanan's done a couple pieces that I wasn't able to use at that time, and I'm like, hey, maybe I could do this or something. And like I said, since we have the completed book, I could add a second printing onto the main campaign or whatever. So I need to for you.
Just a suggestion. Another perk that you could add would be a scrapbook, which is to say, all the art that you haven't used, character sketches, something that shows the people the process. I didn't sell too many of those. I didn't sell too many of the scrapbook in the first campaign, and to be perfectly honest, I wasn't too happy with how it turned out. So I tried to like throw in like a little something extra for people that ordered it. You know, like an extra like a floppy issue or something like that, like of number 1 or of number 2, signed, of course. But I still think the idea of scrapbooks that to accompany these projects is still a good idea, because it's, first of all, you know, it's interesting just to see the process, but also it can be inspiring for people that are looking at what we're doing and thinking, hey, maybe I could do that too. And you know, and you don't lie to people, you don't sugarcoat things. It can be a rough journey, but boy, it can be worth it too. The rewards are not merely monetary.
Well, I definitely agree with that. But I mean, I must admit, I did enjoy making the first brand, and looking forward to the next story as well.
Me too.
It's something I'm just creating the comic. It was fun. I'd like to continue to do this for the foreseeable future.
You will.
But
and that's another thing that I try to stress to new creators, people that are doing this for the first time. There are going to be times where you're going to feel really down. And that's when you have to remind yourself, like, wait a second, I'm making a comic book. How cool is that? And, you know, it helps get your enthusiasm back and put things in perspective when you realize that you're kind of fulfilling a childhood dream. At least this has been for me.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the thing. And, there are other stories that I want to tell, other brand stories, other, just stories in general. I mean, you probably have other stories besides Six Gun Gorilla that you want to.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. In fact, I have a professional wrestling tie-in book that's going to be my next project. It's called Tequila Moonrise. You're familiar with the great El Santo, I hope?
I am not. But
you are in for a treat, my friend. You are in for a treat. El Santo was like the Mexican like god of Mexican professional wrestling.
So he was like a luchador type with the mask, or what?
He was a luchador.
Okay. He
was the luchador, right? Okay. There's a statue of him in Mexico City, and I don't know what's wrong with Mexico, but they really need to get on that fast and rename Mexico City Santo City. Stat. Anyway, what's great about El Santo is kayfabe was a thing for this guy to the point where you never saw him without his mask. If he was going out to dinner, it was with the mask on. If he was going to the supermarket, it was with the mask on. So it's not like you'd go to a movie premiere, you meet Daniel Craig. You're not meeting James Bond. You're meeting Daniel Craig. When you met El Santo, you met El Santo, and he starred in a bunch of movies that are completely out of this world. Mexican horror wrestling movies. A lot of people don't know that that's a genre. I'm telling you now, it's
Mexican horror movie.
Mexican horror wrestling. Okay, these movies are from outer space. They're not like anything you've ever seen before. Basically, it's like they open up and El Santo's in the ring. He's wrestling. He's the people's champion. He wins the match, but then he goes into his sanctum sanctorum, where he has a back computer, and he will run out and jump into a sports car, wearing his cape and shirtless, and with his tights and his mask, and race to a graveyard to fight a bunch of vampires. Then after he whips the vampires' asses, then he has to go wrestle again. And then there's and then there's always like a musical number. There's a musical number, and also maybe a little romance. El Santo's out with his girl, and of course he's like sucking face with the mask on. The only thing you never see is him showering with the mask on. But these movies are they're out of this world, and that's what Tequila Moonrise is inspired by. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, now that you say that, what was it? The Guillermo del Toro television show, The Strain. Well, he did it. It was a graphic novel. You can buy.
Yes.
I know you can buy the Strain. It's a vampire, and some people didn't quite like the way it. They tried to. They were close to the ending of the novels, but they changed because actors quit or got they just moved in another direction. So it's kind of different when you're filming something with people and they go, "Oh, I got a better paying job on another television show. I'm not gonna renew for the next season or whatever." And so then that character has to be killed off, and it was like, "Oh, in the book, this character lived all the way through the end." And it's kind of like that on Game of Thrones. And that's one of the things that I found interesting. George R.R. Martin says that the ending for his Game of Thrones is going to be slightly different.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. I've been a fan of George's since high school. I've got signed books by him. I've got letters from him because
actual letters.
Yeah, because he was very accessible. Which is to say, I was a fan and I was starting to write short stories. And so I wrote to him, saying, like fanboy letters, like, "Oh man, you're so cool. You're so awesome. Do you have any suggestions?"
Actual letters, or were you?
Yeah. No, letters.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, this is old school. Yeah.
Well, the reason, that's why I was saying, when I mentioned, like I said, George R. R. Martin, then I mentioned The Strain and Del Toro, there was a character in there that he was a wrestler and he started doing like these B-movie horror things, and he was a guy. So sounds like it was based on that character.
El Santo, man, totally. Yeah. When I saw that episode, man, I was grinning from ear to ear. I was like, they brought El Santo into this. This is freaking awesome.
Yeah, well, then he got bit, and then
he got bit. But he went out like a soldier. He went out like a soldier. He blew himself up and took a whole bunch of Strigoi with him. So
the Strigoi. Oh, right, yeah, I always loved that guy, because that was kind of strange, because all of a sudden he was a different guy to me, and then when I started looking, I said, "Wait a minute, that's the guy from Game of Thrones. He's also the guy that was the groundskeeper in Harry Potter." Mm-hmm. He was, and I remember I was watching with my ex, well, my now ex, and we were watching, and I pointed out to, she's like, "That is him," because she had the DVD set, all the Harry Potter movies and all this. She's like, "That is him," and it was like he had, even though he didn't look different, it was like the energy of the character was so different. And so she just didn't recognize that, it was just, oh, that's Walder Frey. Okay. Oh, it's like, I've seen him in a bunch of movies, like, he's just different in so many things. And
that's an actor's job. And some of them are more chameleon-like than others.
Matter of fact, I think I saw him in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, and he's been in so many. I thought he was in that. It wasn't a big part though, but I had to go back and look. I could have swore. It's just, I love British movies, so that's why it's like I love British, like Guy Ritchie movies, rock and roll, all this kind of thing. But my favorite Guy Ritchie movie is Snatch. So I love Snatch. I even watched that movie he did with his then wife Madonna. Which was the remake. I can't remember.
Swept Away.
Yeah, Swept Away. Okay, yeah. I know.
I didn't see it, so I can't.
It wasn't as horrible as people said it was, but I understand why it didn't make $300 million. I thought it was beautifully shot, and Madonna's acting wasn't horrible in it. I I thought, and she wasn't so old at that time that, you know, now it's kind of like a joke. If I see her kind of jumping around, twerking and stuff now, I'd be like,
oh, yeah. She's not aging gracefully. Like she's acting like she's still, you know, it's like, okay, if you're in your 50s, you can still be hot, but just be a little more, I don't know, ladylike. You know, you know what I'm saying? There's a way to do it.
I saw something a couple months ago, and she was like on stage doing it, and I was like,
yeah, don't shake your butt like you're like 18 or 20 or something.
When she was 25, 26, I was all about that though, you know. All the weird stuff that, you know, she made that photo book with all the nudity in it and all that.
The Big Daddy Kane and Vanilla Ice.
Big Daddy Kane, Naomi Campbell. Yeah.
And Vanilla Ice. Can't forget Vanilla Ice.
Oh, yeah, Vanilla Ice. And, you know, people are still selling those on eBay. You can get like $100 and something for them.
Wow.
But I mean, like I said, Madonna's an icon, but she's an aging icon.
And she should try to, and she's not aging with style and grace, and that's that's disappointing, you know.
But it's like but like I said, I saw the Swept Away movie. It wasn't. I was like, it's actually a decent movie, but it bombed. You know what I'm saying?
And then people bag on it extra hard. It's like Waterworld isn't like a terrible movie.
I watched Waterworld at least 10 times. I enjoyed it, but I enjoyed the movie.
Right. It's okay. It's perfectly fine.
Yeah, I actually liked Waterworld, but man, they spent so much money on that movie.
Yeah, they did.
Kevin Costner was prophetic. Nothing's free in Waterworld. And so that's
I got that right.
That is I mean, but yeah, that was they shot a lot, and then people started getting sick, and then they had to take a little break and let people, there was like,
that really gets budgets.
Yeah, that movie, it's like, oh God, okay, this guy's got like dysentery or something. We got to take a couple weeks off, let him recover, and you come back and I've seen movies where the guy gets sick and he comes back and he's noticeably thinner.
Yeah, right.
He's lost weight because he's been sick and all this.
Since he's had like malaria or something.
Well, that happened on what was it? The Francis Ford Coppola, Apocalypse Now.
Yep.
Martin Sheen had a heart attack.
Yep.
Martin Sheen had a heart attack, and they had to shut down for like 6 weeks. If you didn't know that, you probably wouldn't notice it, but it actually kind of fit with the darker part of the movie as he was going in to find Marlon Brando's character. But yeah, Martin Sheen had a heart attack about halfway into the production of that. They had to shut down for almost 2 months and let him recover.
That's a great documentary. What's that called? Hearts of Darkness?
Yeah. I watched that. I think they showed it on. I think they showed it on AMC. I think I watched it and they showed the whole thing because they had all. There's a matter of fact. There's like a master edition of Apocalypse Now that I almost bought us. Matter of fact,
it's the Redux.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, and it's got the extra footage and all that kind of stuff. That stuff like that. I was watching the interview with Steve Carell, and he was talking about, I hate the director's commentary. I don't like recording them and all this kind of thing. He said, I feel like the movie that's presented should be the movie that's presented. You shouldn't, I don't want spoilers. I don't want the behind the scenes. I don't want to know how the bread is made.
But it's optional.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. No one's forcing you to listen. That's why, the same thing with the director's commentary. No one forced anyone to buy the director's commentary. I was just, it was only $5, and some people bought it as they were checking out, and it was much appreciated. But that was, I kind of liked when, like I said, when me and Kanan were recording the director's commentary, I liked saying, okay, this here was supposed to be this or whatever, and we kind of, just this kind of thing, and kind of go back and forth about why this happened or why that happened. I was very curious about it, and not to mention the colorist, actually being able to sit down with him and go, okay, when I sent you these pages, I expected to get a certain, like especially the first couple of pages with the, kind of had a orangish background. I told him, I said, I expected to get like blue skies coming out.
Right.
And and it didn't happen. It was like I can't. He came back, and it was like orange pages and all this kind of stuff, and it looked beautiful, but it was different from what I had imagined. Mm-hmm. And he was like, "Well, I'll change it," and I was like, "No." He was feeling that he was doing his he was doing his Bob Ross, and he was into jazz, and this is what he was. I was like, no, if that's what you're feeling, then yeah. There were a couple things that didn't come out the way I thought they were, or layouts that Kanan showed me a layout, and then when I got the page, he had kind of tweaked it and changed it.
Yeah.
Things happen in the creative process, and I thought that's one thing I've noticed. I had a couple people contact me about listening to the director's commentary, and they were very interested in that. So that's why I offered it again for Way of the Gun. I thought that was fun, just to sit down with Kanan, talk about little disagreements we had, and this kind of thing. And
you got to embrace the collaborative aspect of making comics, and you have to trust your artist, because they very often will see things that you don't see, and that doesn't mean that you're not going to have disagreements, but you kind of want to meet each other halfway. And if they change something, if they make something different from the way that you wrote it, but it works, leave it alone.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that.
It's not about ego. It's about making the best comic you can make.
Well, one thing that came up during the director's commentary was the infamous tattoo incident, where Kanan had put a tattoo on Dawn's stomach that said, I guess right above her navel, it said Lucky. And my Dawn does not have a tattoo. I never saw her with it. I have a vision of her in my head.
Right.
And she didn't have no damn tattoo. And I was like, what the hell is that? And, I didn't get it. Although Kanan did, he also added an arm band. She had like some kind of tribal thing around her arm. That tattoo is actually staying, but something will happen later on, and then the Lucky tattoo will be gone.
So you're gonna write it out of the story?
Yeah. I had people, and that's the thing. And me and Kanan, I got really upset at Kanan about the tattoo, because I was like, that pissed me off. I mean, it really, when I saw it, it pissed me off that he added a tattoo, because he had already drawn Dawn a few times, adult Dawn. And her stomach's exposed, and there's no tattoo. And I'm like, what the hell is this tattoo? Where did you add this tattoo? You've drawn this character before, and there's no tattoo. Oh, well, I just thought, she's kind of rebellious, and she's a young person, all this, and I just thought the tattoo would kind of enhance that and all this. And I was like, no, we have pictures, because she's 15 in this one, and when she gets to this age where she's doing that, her chest, you've got her chest exposed, and there's no tattoo. And obviously that would have made me cringe if he had drawn adult Dawn with the tattoo. And so I never saw her like that. I just, that thing, but Kanan explained why he put her in there.
And that's the thing. As the client, you have veto power. You just don't want to be that guy that's like, wait a second, that's not what I wrote. So change it just because it's not what I wrote. You know what I mean? You don't want to get territorial, and that's not getting territorial. That is a fundamental. It's a small detail, but it's something that changes the character fundamentally, right?
Hold on, let me see. I got a question from
totally acceptable.
Let me get Daytona phone. Why did my message asking about the book get deleted? I don't know what you're talking about, though. What message about what book? Are you a question about my book, or a question about this book, or I don't know. I don't know.
He likes Audrey Hepburn.
Yeah, I don't. That's what I'm saying. I don't know what it is, so I don't know what he's talking about.
Ask again in the chat, man. We'll see it.
Yeah. So there you go. I mean, I don't know what he's talking about. So, but I don't see any timed out messages or any of that kind of stuff. So, if it is,
yeah.
But
everybody who ordered Brand's looking forward to it. It looks great. The art is killer. The story is really interesting. It's intriguing. It doesn't look like
Well, this question's for you there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This question's for you. This is his
Oh,
question.
yeah. Absolutely. It's right there on the campaign page. Six Gun Gorilla #1 is basically the trade paperback, which has Six Gun Gorilla issues 1 through 6. So it's 148 pages. And you can get that by itself currently on the campaign, or you can buy it with the latest installment, which is the Big Gundown, which is 24 pages. And you can, if you do that, I knock $5 off the price.
Well, there you go. All right. Well,
it's available right now, man.
It's definitely available, and
go get
it.
Go get it.
Yeah, but appreciate the mods dropping the links in the chat for all that, and to our not only our extended audience here on YouTube and people watching on Periscope and people watching on Facebook or Twitch, as we've been streaming on those platforms as well. And
the moderators, they are the unsung heroes.
Yes,
they are the unsung heroes. So big salutations to the mods posting those links, because you're just doing that out of like the generosity of your own hearts and without any reward. We gotta like put something together. We gotta create like an appreciation society or something for the mods. I don't know, something.
Yeah, the mod society. But
yeah.
Yes. Well, Mr. Christgau, I've appreciated talking with you. I've always enjoyed our chats, and it's good to have you back. And
thank you, sir. Thank you.
Hopefully, we can do this again another time. But,
absolutely. I just wanted to say one thing before,
yes, please.
Before we tap out.
Yes.
The Wrestling Council, you don't talk enough about the Shockmaster.
I remember me and Boogie
I always bust your
about
balls on that.
No, but we had actually talked about doing like kind of special shows maybe around the holiday or something. We did one where we watched Halloween Havoc from 90 something or whatever the hell, and watching old pay-per-views, watching.
Yeah, Mom, I'll be there in a minute, okay? Yeah, don't worry, Mom. I'll be right with you, okay? Sorry about that.
Oh, no. But we had talked about doing, like old wrestlers like the Shockmaster, different, just kind of going over that. I kind of want to do something like that. Talk about Sid Vicious or Sid Justice or Sid something.
Oh, God.
But, Nancy and Sid, any of that. But yeah, no, again, Brian Christgau, Six Gun Gorilla, how can folks reach out to you on the social interwebs, as they say?
You can find me on the Twitter at Brian Christgau, capital B, capital C. You can also find me on Facebook. You can also find the Six Gun Gorilla Facebook page just by looking for it, just by typing in Six Gun Gorilla. And everybody who's backed the book, much love to you. And I appreciate my backers. Let me just say that you are all greatly appreciated, because the thing is what are we without you folks? We ain't nothing. So
that is true. And as always, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, all at Akari Press. Also at Twitch at Akari Press. I need to build that one up more. Thinking about doing some game streams or something on Twitch and kind of see, can I build that platform up a little bit more? But
some old wrestling games would be great.
Actually, that would be great. I have a couple of WWE or WWF games. Yeah.
WCW versus NWO.
Well, I've got WWF Superstars that I've got a MAME emulator, and I've got WWF Superstars, and it had Earthquake and Jake the Snake Roberts, Ultimate Warrior, Mr. Perfect. I think Macho Man was in that too, and the Road Warriors and all that. Hulk Hogan, obviously. But I mean, yeah, I'd love to do that one. And I've got, and there was another one. I think WrestleMania or something like that. It was an arcade version, but it's pretty cool. It's got like what was Yokozuna and some of those characters.
Yokozuna,
yeah, who was actually Samoan, not Japanese. But,
like Kamala the Ugandan Giant is from Texas.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought he's from Mississippi. I thought he's from Mississippi.
Is he? Is he?
I thought he was from
Okay.
Mississippi. I had to look that up. I thought he, yeah, I just saw a shooting interview. I thought he was from Mississippi, but yeah, he
Okay.
definitely wasn't from
From
the.
Uganda.
But yeah, anyway, we're about to get out of here, and thank you guys for watching. Of course, cardpress.com takes you to Brand Way of the Gun. Me and Kanan, over $100. Thank you guys. We appreciate that support. And hey, I'm out.
Peace, love, and soul. Thanks, Anton.